Hello, I'm Eliza, and welcome to my channel where we explore the fascinating world of psychology. Join me as we uncover various human experiences and discover some strategies to improve our lives. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where after a conflict with someone, you decided to make up and promised yourself to stay calm? You felt at ease until that person said something that just set you off. Suddenly, all the calmness was gone, and you found yourself even angrier than before. The whole situation flipped, and the conflict got worse. What was it in their words or actions that triggered your anger? Why do we get angry in the first place? And why does anger always seem to pop up in conflicts? In this video, let's talk about anger. Anger is a powerful and essential emotion for us, but it can also be quite dangerous. It holds both a constructive force that drives us forward and a destructive one that can lead to chaos. When we feel anger, it sparks impulses to defend ourselves or protect someone or something, eliminate threats, or demand what we desire, and even restore justice. It can push us to take action, whether that means confronting someone, punishing them, or even seeking revenge. Physically, anger manifests in our bodies as a surge of energy. You might feel muscle tension, an urge to scream, hit, kick, or fight. So how do we harness this powerful emotion without letting it spiral out of control? First, let's explore the reasons behind our anger. The primary and the most immediate cause of anger is physical pain. Even 4-month-old infants who don't yet have the ability to assess situations or understand what's happening to them react to pain, like from a needle prick, by expressing anger. So when someone or something causes us pain, our natural response is to feel angry. It doesn't even matter if the source of our anger is an inanimate object. Pain itself triggers feelings of anger. That's why we might find ourselves getting mad at a table or a nightstand when we accidentally bump into them. We also tend to become more irritable when we experience physical discomfort, like when we're hungry, tired, overwhelmed by stimuli, or under stress. Interestingly, research suggests that people cope better with pain when they don't suppress the anger, but instead allow it to be expressed. This is because suppressing and holding back anger consumes cognitive resources that are also needed for managing pain. I'll talk more about ways of expressing anger and coping with it later in the video. Another reason for anger is a threat to our safety, a violation of our boundaries, physical and emotional, freedom or rights. In these situations, the most natural response is anger that drives us to protect ourselves and our territory. Anger also arises when our self-esteem or sense of self-worth is attacked. Anger is meant to defend our identity, psychological integrity, and vulnerability. We can also feel anger when we encounter obstacles that stand in the way of our desires, goals, and needs. In these situations, anger is aimed at removing those barriers from our path. Unmet expectations, injustice, mistakes of others that have caused us harm can also trigger this feeling. Our anger is even stronger when we believe that the harm was intentional. This is especially true when we perceive others as having dishonest motives. The actions of others that contradict our values and principles can also frustrate us. One more source of our anger is the anger of others. Anger is highly contagious, and it's often difficult not to get frustrated when we're dealing with someone who is angry. That's why conflicts can become repetitive. One person's anger fuels another's, creating a vicious cycle. It can be very challenging to break this cycle or even identify the original cause of the conflict. These are just some reasons for anger, but there are also others. I think it becomes clear how important and vast our anger can be. Anger itself is a normal emotion, and it's completely okay to experience it. But let's talk about the ways we express anger and the actions we take when we're under its influence, which can be both constructive and destructive. The way we express anger is heavily influenced by our upbringing, cultural beliefs, and social norms. For example, if parents frequently display aggression towards their children, it's natural that the children will also express anger in aggressive ways, such as lashing out at peers or those who are weaker. Moreover, due to various distortions, negative experiences, or trauma, anger can manifest in destructive forms. This often leads to polarized responses, either completely suppressing the feeling of anger or expressing it in an appropriate and aggressive manner. The ways we express anger also have a significant impact on our well-being and health. Both suppressing anger for a long time or letting it escalate to extreme levels can be dangerous for our cardiovascular system and may lead to psychosomatic issues and overall health deterioration. By the way, did you know that when we judge others, whether mentally or out loud, we're actually expressing anger? Yes, judgment is a form of anger expression. When we think badly of someone or judge them, we're essentially angry at that person. Interestingly, this anger doesn't always have to be directed at the actual source of our frustration. Why? Here's another fascinating fact: anger has a tendency to shift onto other targets. We might get angry not at the real cause of our feelings, but at someone or something that feels safer, more accessible, or closer to us emotionally. Here are several ways to express anger. The first one is expressing anger freely, without restraint, even resorting to aggression, verbal attacks, violence, or destruction. Anger is an emotion aimed at eliminating threats. This is why the desire to cause harm to someone or something can be understood. In some cases, physical self-defense may justify such actions. However, for building healthy relationships with others, with the world, and with ourselves, this approach is harmful. Most people are capable of controlling their impulses and choosing alternative ways to handle their anger. Not using violence is a choice we're able to make. Violence always leads to destruction and has no place in fostering prosperous relationships. The second one is using passive aggression. Passive aggression involves subtle insults, undermining someone's self-esteem, sabotaging efforts, or intentionally withholding actions to cause harm. If your goal is to express anger covertly, confuse someone, or sow doubt without direct confrontation, this method might seem effective. However, it doesn't help create genuine, open, and friendly communication. Instead, it can push people away. The third one is suppressing anger. Suppression is when you try to hold back your anger, especially in stressful moments, like freezing or staying quiet. While it might help diffuse a conflict temporarily or prevent escalation in a tense situation, chronically suppressed anger doesn't just go away. It can come out unexpectedly later or manifest physically through headaches, depression, or anxiety. The fourth one is redirecting anger inward. This involves directing all your anger at yourself through self-criticism, self-punishment, sabotage, or even self-harm. In cases of autoaggression, people often deny or suppress anger toward others and instead take it out on themselves. The most constructive approach is assertively and adaptively expressing anger. This involves clearly identifying what or whom you're angry at and understanding why. Giving your anger verbal form helps you communicate effectively. It's important to find a balance where you don't harm yourself or others. For example, I am angry because my needs or my expectations aren't being met or acknowledged. I can remind others of my boundaries, express what was important to me, think about which expectations I need to adjust so I don't get hurt every time. No method guarantees that others will always listen or respond exactly as we wish. However, the last approach, assertive and constructive expression, is the most humane and effective way to preserve and strengthen sincere, safe, and meaningful relationships with others. And let's move on to recommendations for managing anger. Firstly, I'll give you some recommendations for situations when it's difficult not to resort to aggression, shouting, or attacks. Take a timeout. A short break allows you to avoid impulsive actions and gives you the opportunity to observe your sensations and explore your anger. You can take several deep breaths in and out. Pay attention to your body. Notice how anger shows up physically. Is it heat in your face, tension in your muscles, sweaty palms, running eyebrows, restlessness? Spend a few moments paying attention to these sensations. They are your body's signals that anger is rising. Reflect on your thoughts. These questions may help. Why am I angry? Is this happening right now, or is it triggered by something from the past? What are my expectations and beliefs about people and the world? Do they align with reality? Clarifying these questions can help you see the situation more clearly. Find constructive ways to express your anger. In anger, we often think that the other person definitely wants to harm us, which leads us to feel the impulse to attack their personality. But more often, the cause is not malicious intent from others, but misunderstanding, unmet needs, or conflicting interests. If we identify what situation, problem, or state, ours or others, such as fatigue, triggered our anger, we can shift the anger away from the person and their personality toward the situation or problem. Then we can direct our energy toward resolving the issue. And now I want to give some recommendations for those who tend to suppress anger or turn it inward. First of all, notice your anger. Noticing anger means observing your thoughts and bodily reactions. Allow yourself to feel angry at anyone but yourself, even if it feels scary or wrong. Write down your thoughts in a journal, no need to show anyone. Observe physical signs of anger. Notice how anger manifests physically: heat, tension, clenched fists, rapid heartbeat, and allow these sensations and reactions without trying to suppress or drown them out or act under the influence. Practice safe anger expression. Start expressing your anger gradually and safely. Prepare clear, respectful phrases and practice saying them in situations where you feel comfortable, preferably with people you trust and feel safe with. Dealing with anger alone can be challenging. Often the root of anger issues isn't just temperament, but past painful experiences or learned patterns of suppressing or overly aggressive expression of feelings. This can damage relationships and harm you as well. That's why seeking help from a professional is important if you feel overwhelmed. Remember, you have every right to feel angry and upset about certain situations. Healthy anger protects us and fades when we are safe. But if it's caused by unresolved past or present issues, it can last a long time and even intensify. So take time to explore your anger. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful and enjoyed it, please support me by subscribing, leaving a comment, and hitting the like button. Wishing you all the best. See you next time.